The idea of massive workforce reductions during a government shutdown is now facing serious doubt. The Trump administration has taken a more forceful stance than usual, issuing a White House directive last week that urges federal agencies to prepare for further job cuts if funding pauses early next week. However, with just days left before a potential shutdown, many are questioning whether agencies can realistically create these plans. Given that the RIF process is typically slow and complex, often requiring months of preparation, this new directive from the Office of Management and Budget, first reported by Politico, follows earlier orders from the Trump administration to cut staff and eliminate non-essential functions. Over the past few months, many agencies have already reduced their workforce significantly, with hundreds of thousands of employees leaving either voluntarily or through mandatory exits. Officials predict the total number of layoffs could reach 300,000 by year-end. Yet some agencies have reversed course after realizing their cuts were too drastic. For example, the IRS and the General Services Administration have pulled back on planned layoffs, citing the need to maintain critical operations. Now the OMB is pushing for even more cuts, targeting employees in programs facing funding gaps or whose work doesn't align with presidential priorities. A key part of the new memo requires agencies to notify all affected employees, regardless of their status as furloughed or exempt, about potential layoffs. Even if a shutdown is avoided, agencies are still encouraged to proceed with these plans. The OMB emphasized that once 2026 funding is approved, RIFs should be revised to retain only the minimum staff needed to fulfill statutory duties. But not everyone agrees with this approach. Bobby Kogan, a former OMB official, questioned the legality and practicality of last-minute layoffs during a shutdown. It doesn't seem legally feasible to carry out such actions during a shutdown, and there's little time to prepare beforehand, he said. This has sparked debates over whether the administration is using the shutdown as a pretext for forced cuts. While some activities can continue during a shutdown, like those funded outside of Congress or designed to protect public safety, there's room for interpretation. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities notes that different administrations have varied how broadly these exceptions apply. Yet, critics argue that preparing for layoffs isn't justified under the imminent threat exception. The unprecedented nature of this directive makes it hard to predict how the process will unfold. Jenny Mattingly of the Partnership for Public Service warned that agencies may still compile lists of potential layoffs, continuing a trend of rapid personnel decisions that ignore congressional mandates or essential services. Democrats have accused the Trump administration of overstepping, calling the memo mafia-style blackmail. Senator Chris Van Hollen argued that the threats are both illegal and harmful to public services. Representative James Walkinshaw added that a shutdown gives the administration no additional legal power to fire employees. If you'd like to discuss recent federal changes, contact reporter Drew Friedman at drew.friedman@federalnewsnetwork.com or via Signal at Drew Friedman 11. Copyright 2025 Federal News Network. All rights reserved. This site is not intended for users in the European Economic Area.